In August 1963, over 250,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C., demanding equality and justice. The city's streets filled with a sea of determined faces, each person united by a shared dream of a better, fairer America. The energy was electric, as buses, trains, and cars brought people from every corner of the nation to the heart of the Capitol. The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom became a turning point in the civil rights movement. It was not just a protest, but a powerful statement of hope and unity, a moment when the voices of the oppressed rang out together for the world to hear. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech, calling for an end to racism in America. His words echoed across the National Mall, painting a vision of a nation where people would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The speech became a beacon of hope, inspiring generations to come. This march paved the way for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These landmark laws would transform American society, breaking down barriers and opening doors that had long been closed to millions. The event was a powerful display of nonviolent protest, uniting people from all walks of life. Black and white, young and old, religious leaders, labor activists, and ordinary citizens all stood together, showing the world the strength of peaceful resistance. Imagine the anticipation in the air, the determination on every face. Each marcher carried their own hopes and fears, yet all were bound by a common purpose: to demand dignity, respect, and the basic rights promised to every American. People traveled from across the country, teachers, students, workers, each with their own story and hope. Some journeyed for days, sleeping on buses or in church basements, driven by the belief that their presence could help change the course of history. Organizing such a massive gathering without modern technology was a feat of grassroots coordination. Volunteers worked tirelessly, making phone calls, printing flyers, and spreading the word through churches and community centers. Their dedication made the march possible. The march's official title revealed its dual focus: civil rights and economic justice. Organizers demanded fair employment, a living wage, and equal opportunities for all Americans, regardless of race or background. They called for an end to discrimination in hiring, housing, and education, insisting that freedom must include economic security and opportunity. The day was peaceful, with participants sharing food, singing, and forging new friendships. Songs of hope and freedom filled the air, creating a sense of unity and purpose that transcended differences. Crowds listened intently to speakers at the Lincoln Memorial, hanging on every word as leaders called for justice, equality, and the fulfillment of America's founding promises. It was a testament to Dr. King's philosophy: justice achieved through nonviolence. The March on Washington remains a shining example of what can be accomplished when people come together, united by hope and the unwavering belief in freedom for all. Martin Luther King Jr. was not alone in shaping the March on Washington. While his iconic speech and leadership are often remembered, the movement was the result of many visionaries working together, each bringing their own strengths, perspectives, and sacrifices to the cause. The march was a tapestry woven from countless dreams, not just one. Bayard Rustin, a master strategist and pacifist, orchestrated the logistics behind the scenes. He meticulously planned transportation, security, and the program itself, ensuring that the event ran smoothly and safely for the hundreds of thousands who attended. Rustin's role was often downplayed due to his being openly gay, a fact that made some leaders wary of putting him in the spotlight. Yet his impact was undeniable. His organizational genius was the backbone of the march, and his commitment to nonviolence shaped its tone. The idea for a mass march originated with A. Philip Randolph, a labor leader who had long fought for civil rights. Randolph had previously threatened marches to pressure presidents for change, and his vision for a massive demonstration in Washington finally took shape in 1963. In 1963, Randolph, Rustin, and others formed the Big Six, uniting leaders from major civil rights organizations. This coalition included figures like John Lewis, James Farmer, Roy Wilkins, and Whitney Young, each representing different groups but sharing a common goal. Their collaboration, despite differences in age, ideology, and tactics, was key to the march's success. They debated, compromised, and ultimately found common ground, demonstrating the power of unity in the face of adversity. Women like Dorothy Height and Anna Arnold Hedgeman were vital organizers, though largely excluded from the main stage. They worked tirelessly behind the scenes, mobilizing communities, coordinating volunteers, and ensuring the march's message reached every corner of the country. Only Daisy Bates spoke briefly, highlighting the ongoing struggle for gender equality within the movement. Her words, though few, echoed the determination of countless women whose efforts were essential but often overlooked. The march was a coalition effort reflecting a broad spectrum of voices and visions. People of all backgrounds, black, white, young, old, religious, secular, came together, united by a shared hope for justice and equality. Its success lay in unity, across race, gender, and ideology. The March on Washington was not just the dream of one man, but the collective dream of a movement determined to change the course of history. The journey to Washington was itself an act of courage and commitment. Many traveled from the Deep South, risking hostility and danger to join the march. Dressed in their best, participants gathered at bus stations and train depots, filled with hope and resolve. Bayard Rustin's team coordinated thousands of buses and special trains, ensuring order and safety. Detailed instructions and even pre-made sandwiches kept the massive crowd organized and cared for. White allies, about 60,000, joined in solidarity, forging new bonds on the road to Washington. For many, the journey was transformative, building empathy and alliances that would fuel future activism. The trip became a living lesson in unity and shared purpose. The movement's strength was found not just in numbers but in the courage of ordinary people. Music was the heartbeat of the march, uniting and inspiring the crowd. Legendary performers like Peter, Paul, and Mary sang "Blowin' in the Wind," turning the mall into a chorus for change. Mahalia Jackson's gospel performance moved thousands, her voice echoing the pain and hope of generations. Singing together transformed individuals into a unified force for justice. The musical lineup was intentionally diverse, featuring both black and white artists. Odetta's stirring rendition of "Oh Freedom" captured the movement's unyielding spirit. Music was more than entertainment. It was protest, prayer, and a call to action. The song set the tone for the day's speeches, fueling the crowd's resolve. The soundtrack of the march became the soundtrack of a revolution. Before Dr. King's address, leaders of the Big Six delivered powerful speeches. A. Philip Randolph opened, linking racial equality to economic justice. Roy Wilkins demanded immediate legislative action, reminding lawmakers that marchers were there to claim their rights. John Lewis, the youngest speaker, voiced the impatience of the movement's youth, insisting, "We want our freedom and we want it now." His speech, even after last-minute edits, captured the urgency and frustration of activists on the front lines. Each speech reflected a different facet of the struggle, from pragmatic demands to passionate calls for justice. The stage was set for Dr. King's unforgettable words. The most famous part of Dr. King's speech, the "I Have a Dream" section, was improvised. Prompted by Mahalia Jackson's call to tell them about the dream, King set aside his notes and spoke from the heart. He painted a vision of a nation where children are judged by character, not skin color. By invoking the Declaration of Independence, King connected civil rights to America's founding ideals. His oratory, repetition, metaphor, and rising emotion captivated the nation. The phrase, "I have a dream," became a rallying cry for justice and equality. King's message was not about special treatment, but about America living up to its own promises. The speech's power lay in its universal appeal and moral clarity. It left the crowd and the country spellbound. From the Lincoln Memorial, a peaceful sea of humanity stretched to the Washington Monument. The crowd was a mosaic of America, black and white, young and old, united in purpose. The location was symbolic. A century after the Emancipation Proclamation, the fight for freedom continued in Lincoln's shadow. The marchers' calm and dignity shattered racist stereotypes, showing disciplined citizens demanding their rights. Strangers shared water, stories, and hope, forging a community in a single day. For many, being part of the crowd was life-changing, a moment when history felt within reach. The demonstration's scale and order made it impossible to ignore. The march proved that peaceful protest could move a nation. It was a day when the possibility of real change felt tangible. The March on Washington was a catalyst for lasting change. President Kennedy, moved by the march, committed to passing civil rights legislation. After Kennedy's assassination, President Johnson made the Civil Rights Act of 1964 his top priority. The act outlawed discrimination and ended segregation in public places. The movement then pushed for voting rights, facing violent opposition in the South. The nation was shocked by images from Selma, leading to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This law banned discriminatory voting practices and enabled federal oversight. Millions of African Americans gained the right to vote, transforming the South's political landscape. The march's demands for freedom and jobs laid the groundwork for these victories. Decades later, the March on Washington remains a powerful symbol of the ongoing fight for equality and justice in America. Its echoes can be heard in every movement that has followed, from the streets of Selma to the present-day calls for justice and reform. The march was not just a moment in history, it became a turning point, inspiring generations to believe that change is possible when people unite for a common cause. Its legacy lives on in the landmark laws it inspired, such as the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, and in the countless movements it continues to fuel today. The spirit of the march is reflected in every protest for justice, every demand for equal rights, and every effort to build a more inclusive society. The march proved the extraordinary power of mass, non-violent protest to change the course of history. It showed the world that ordinary people, when united in purpose and peace, can challenge injustice and inspire hope. Yet Dr. King's dream is still unfinished. Economic and racial justice remain urgent challenges. The struggle continues as new generations confront old and new forms of inequality, discrimination, and poverty. The event's complexity is often overlooked. It was built by many hands, not just one speech. Behind the scenes, countless organizers, volunteers, and community leaders worked tirelessly to make the march a reality, each contributing their unique strengths and vision. Remembering the roles of organizers, women, and diverse leaders deepens our understanding of the movement's true strength. Their courage, resilience, and determination remind us that history is shaped by many voices, not just the most famous ones. The march teaches that progress requires collective action, courage, and the willingness to stand together, even in the face of adversity. Its story is a call to keep pushing for justice in every generation, to never grow complacent, and to pass the torch of hope and activism to those who come after us. The dream of 1963 was not passive hope, but an active demand for a better nation, a vision that challenges us to keep striving for freedom, dignity, and equality for all. To truly honor the marchers, we must continue their work, marching forward, raising our voices, and building a future where true equality is not just a dream, but a reality for everyone.